Hey guys, welcome to my new series focused entirely on analog horror stories and everything in between. I'm so excited for this because I've been wanting to do this for ages now. I've been waiting for the time to do it, and I figured, well, what better way to do it than to do it during the new year? Anyways, check out my new layout, guys. I updated my stuff a little bit, mostly with my expressions. I mean, look, I'm very angry now. Or I guess I was being serious. Or look at me, I'm just so disappointed in you. Anyways, I'm just so excited to be able to do this because there's so much to talk about when it comes to analog horror. And of course, the first video focused on analog horror to kind of get us started into this is from Cosmo, who suggested The Kid in the Camera. Now, I've watched this before after Cosmo told me about it. And we're going to watch it together, and I will break things down for you, and I will go into what I think was inspired or something of the sorts, like talk about it, you know? Sorry, I'm just super excited to be talking about this. Granted, the subject is creepy, but it's always exciting to start new things. Anyways, grab your drinks, grab your snacks. We're going in for a long one.
Once upon a star, there lived a boy named Caleb. He was a happy little tot of 6 years old, and on his birthday he received a very special gift, his very own photo camera. Caleb loved the camera, so much that he took it out every day, snapping photos of anything he could. A picture here, a picture there, until one day a terrible accident happened. And the camera broke. Kalen didn't sleep a wink.
Okay. So, we're introduced to Caleb, or is it Kalen? I don't know. My hearing's bad. But what really surprised me is how, like, and I get that it's like an animation kind of thing. It's just the branch out of nowhere that, like, I guess root, because it looked like a root. I guess that was planted there. I don't know. It just, to me, it looks like it's planted in the middle of nowhere, and it's like, well, I don't see other anything else aside from this. So either it's its own branch, or an old dead root, or something planted by somebody. But okay, continue.
Haunted by thoughts of his once perfect camera late into the night. That was when a sudden sound caught his attention. And there stood on the other side of Kalen's bedroom window a large winged creature. "Hello there, young lad," greeted the creature. "I'm the Kipsneed, your sleep fairy."
And right there and then, I really wished, like, well, we wouldn't have a horror story like this if nothing bad happened. But I'm just like looking at this thing, and I'm just like, is it supposed to be like a freaking Sesame Street kind of puppet? Like, that's the only thing I could really see a 6-year-old kid getting, oh, it's just like one of those like, educational puppets from like Sesame Street or something. I don't know. And it does kind of have one of those off designs that may scream that way. But okay. I know a lot of people might think it's a puppet, and th- I guess they could be right about that, but let's continue. Let's continue.
Sleep fairy? That is correct, replied the Kipsnede. My job is to make sure you get a good night's sleep, but it's come to my attention that you haven't been resting at all lately. I'd like to know the reason why. Kalen had never heard of a sleep fairy. My parents told me not to talk to strangers. Strangers? I'm no stranger. I know all the girls and boys round the globe. I know their parents, their homes, their names. Why, I even know your name, Kalen. Now, would a stranger know your name? Kalen thought on it for a moment. No, I guess not. If you must know why I'm awake. It's my camera. It's broken. And just like that, tears welled up in Kalen's eyes. Let me see. Then the Kipsnede had an idea. Why don't I get...
Okay. I know I should probably pause more often. I'm just like, okay. Anyways. So what concerns me is like there's just the way the puppet moves. Like a lot of people think this thing's a puppet. And to me I'm like that is kind of right. It would be one of those like it would have to be one of those like really you got to control the eyeballs of the puppet to really make it seem like they're doing this. Like, can you just see how the movements are with this guy? Like, the eyes are just going down and just, like, focused on him. It would have to be a very expensive puppet to pull that off. And I get it, it's animation. You're not going to be able to, like, tell all these details because it wouldn't really matter because it's like an animation. But you'll see why I was focused a little bit on the details of why the creature is looking directly at him and what seems to be the case of him being able to do that.
Perhaps that would help you sleep easier. You could do that? Of course, and I know just the place. A factory in my homeworld. I'll lead you to the portal. Just follow my voice. And the Kipsnede disappeared into the night. This way. Kalen followed close behind the Kipsnede, snapping photos to mark the way in case of getting lost. Over here. At last, Kalen reached a house.
Okay. This is another thing I wanted to analyze a bit with you guys is that the photographs are real, so kind of making you guys think with the whole animation perspective, it's more of an aimed at like showing the innocence of Caleb. And as we draw nearer and nearer to the house, the more realistic and scary the scenario will become.
Seems quite abandoned, thought the boy. And dark. But there was the Kip Sneed's voice again, beckoning. The portal to my home world's inside. Come along. I must have my camera fixed. So, in spite of his obvious fright, Kalen marched into the home.
I guess it's Calum. It's always hard to tell with these things. Okay, to me this okay. It might seem like a one person kind of thing going on, but I think it's more of a two-person thing going on, considering if he's in the basement, like if the person who's speaking to him is in the basement, he would have had somebody, actually, lock the basement door so Caleb would actually go down there, unlock it himself, or just accidentally did it on its own. I don't know. It seems like a two-person kind of job. I don't know. As we draw closer. Oh, and this image kind of proves my point that it was a puppet. Because if you can see it, like, it looks pretty realistic, quotation marks around that. But it looks like it's something somebody would be using to puppeteer. You get what I mean? So...
Some weeks later, authorities discovered the basement. The rest of the boy was never found.
Okay. So, basically, all that was left was his beat. And the whole story in general, it made me recall something that I watched like a couple of years ago. Now, wait. crap. Wait, that's not how I fixed it. Come on. Give me a minute, guys. Sorry about that. I accidentally pushed the border because I was trying to change my expressions. That's usually how I do it. Okay? Anyways, so it looks like okay, wait, not looks like that. Let me reword that because I was about to talk about what I watched a couple of years ago that made me think of this specifically. And it was freaking crazy to me because I just remembered it. It was this one documentary series. Well, it was a movie, I guess, a long documentary. That was I think it was called Abducted in Plain Sight, where this was back in the 60s, 70s or something. And the whole story of this creature, or the weirdo who puppeteered this puppet and made it seem like it was a creature from another world. who helped with sleeping and such. Sorry, I yawned a bit. But it made me think of this one moment in the documentary where, okay, so it started, well, the story focused on this girl who was abducted by her neighbor and taken to Mexico. And what ended up happening it was that this, like, I know a lot of people will be like, Dazzling Kate, why can't you remember the names? And I'm like, well, you're lucky I managed to remember the, like, movie title, okay? Okay? But it made me think of that moment where the neighbor just basically tried to use the method of, oh, we were abducted by aliens. And now you have to do what they say, because, he used a gadget to make his voice sound different. And that's what it reminded me of. I know that's really specific, but these kind of scenarios, when, adults do these kind of things, they do what they can to trick the child into believing them, even if it sounds super stupid, but they make it seem really realistic. Why else do you think he didn't let Caleb follow him? Like, basically being like, oh, you can just follow me as I fly. That would ruin the illusion. So he said to follow him using his voice. And of course, he was watching from a distance, making sure he was getting warmer and warmer to the area that he wanted to abduct him in. And things like this are very common. Very freaking common that, ugh, ugh. But the strange thing I'm a little unnerved about is probably the feet. Now, I know some people might be like, well, maybe he just ate the rest of the body and he didn't like feet. Like, why leave such an obvious thing? Like, there's got to be something connected to that. And, of course, there was this one thing that was right in the side. Like, you see that in the, like, right corner? The tiny toe TV? It obviously says tiny toe. And you know what else is associated to toes? Feet, which is left. So that's a little bit eerie. It kind of gives you a early message before the ending. You get to see what happens. Like, you get to know what happens ahead, and it's kind of strange. Oh, of course, there is a lot else to talk about. Like I said, why leave the feet? It's like a piece of evidence, and if people know what you use to, like, cut off the feet, they're gonna get a connection of, like, okay, this is the weapon that managed to do it, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like there's another symbolism here that that probably went over my head while I was talking about this. It's just like there seems to be something going on. Like, a lot of people think this is, a puppet, and to some degree, I don't know. It just seems like with the way the eyes move, you'd need a very specific kind of puppet to really make those movements. And I get it, it's animation. You're supposed to make it seem like, the person is doing something very specific. You just see the eye movements, and then you just, like, his eyes, like, going up, and then the eyes looking down. So really, it's like you would have to have a very specific puppet, which I guess you could probably make if you knew how they were made. And not to say he would, like, this person wouldn't be able to get that. It looks like a perfectly good puppet suit. Maybe it's a guy in a puppet suit. I don't know. There's just like two things, and, like, either he's using the puppet with his arm, because I've seen plenty of, like, videos from, like, how some of these puppets work. Like, I think for Big Bird, they would have to, like, shove their entire arm into, like, the very top, and then, like, try and make some, like, gestures, like, gesturing movements very quickly. In some manner, I'm sorry. I yawned again. But I don't know what to really say about the whole situation beforehand. I feel like this guy has been watching Calum for like quite a while to really understand, he must be upset about his camera, so if I just go in disguised as a sleeping fairy, he's gonna follow me out of the house. And of course, this leads me to another speculation about why he went with this method to begin with, and I think he probably has a lot of experience using this method to begin with. Because, like, why else do you think he knew that Caleb would really follow him? He's done this in the past. He's gotten into, like, some kids' heads and managed to lure them away, or has experience understanding what would work and what won't work. So, safe to say, well, not safe to say, get it? Okay, terrible joke. Okay, I'm trying to think of another way of saying it, but it's safe to say that he's done this before with other kids or other victims of the sorts. Because if he knew this, like, if he knew, like, what Caleb had, so safe to say he's a neighbor, watched him fall down from this root branch, broke the camera, tried to go to bed, couldn't, and then just decided to help. Maybe he even purposely made it so Caleb would fall. Like, that's usually another method of how people would try and get their way, is to make it happen coincidentally, purposely. And this is the result of what basically happened. Now, to me, there doesn't seem to be a lot more to analyze and talk about, but I do like the effect that Caleb keeps taking pictures. You have him basically going in, taking photos, getting closer to the door, but it also makes me think that there was someone else in the house too, aside from the main kidnapper, murderer, weirdo guy wearing a bug suit. He probably had someone who associates with him, and they just help make it easier so, a kid doesn't run off or anything. Especially when they get close to the house and, there's a boatload of evidence everywhere. That's my guess as to what exactly set it up to. Basically, two people. One wears the frickin' bug suit or carries a bug puppet that looks like a Sesame Street character, I guess, and wanders over to the window, lures them out, and bada bing, bada boom, that's how they get them down. It's like, I wish there was more information. Maybe at some point I will go into a deeper dive into this. Maybe there's something in the photographs. But I really love how it, like, you see all this going on. You see how bright and cheery the beginning is. And then you just, like, the darkness really creates that tone. And basically it gets darker and darker with each scene. And now that he's in the basement, there's barely anything there to stop him from leaving. And as you notice, it's completely submerged in darkness. And the only thing keeping him, like, is that, oh my gosh, Robin. Sorry about that. Robin's just really hyped up, I guess, by either a cat coming up the stairs or something else. But it's safe to say that it was two people, because I would imagine once he gets down, he probably pushed up the puppet from his hand because there looks to be sort of an opening for like him to put a puppet through like we saw earlier. And because oh frick, Robin basically jump scared me. Oh man, this is gonna be interesting. But it definitely looks like he probably placed the sleeping fairy right there, then pulled him back, and then, Caleb went downstairs even further to see where he was, and that's how it went. There's not really much else to look into other than what happened. There is going to be more videos in the future for this, not like, this specific series, because there's not really a lot of things to go off of that. But safe to say, I will be posting more analog horror story videos in the future. So if you'd like to see me do more of those, put a recommendation down in the comments. We will go into them and I will push them into future video recommendations and such. So I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, and if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button and have a great new year. Let's make this year a good one and focus on the best of the stories that we can find. Anyways, stay safe, stay cool, and most importantly, guys, stay hydrated. This is Dazzling Kate signing the hell out of here.